And we should be getting ready. Yeah, here it is. It's popping in. It's finally starting up. Let me test the audio. And we should be getting ready. There it is. Let's see what's going on with X. Okay, it says I'm live, but that's it. Hit refresh, see if I can get that going. Alright. Yeah, I may have to skip X today. It doesn't seem to want to cooperate with me. Yeah. Getting it's double. No, cancel that. It's almost. Alright. Let's find out what's happening. Giving me a little bit of a freaking hiccup. Going to have to stop X. Start it back up. There we go. It's coming on finally. It's supposed to be coming on. There we go. It's coming on fine. It sounds good. So we are all set up on that. Now I have to hit. Well, what's going on with Twitch? Had to hit refresh for that. Okay, so it sounds like the audio is working on Twitch. We've got everything set up. I had a little hiccup in everything getting ready to go, so I'm sorry for that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all get rid of my my wave form for my voice. I'm gonna mute this out. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette, and then I might go ahead and just get you guys a little background music while I'm gone, so that you guys have something to listen to. So with that, I am going to get that taken care of, and hopefully you guys enjoy. I will be back here in a little bit. So
shining light, shining light, shining light, we're swimming through the night. Shining light, shining light, shining light, shining light, we're swimming through the night. Keep it running, keep it tight. Shining light, we're swimming through the night. Keep it running, keep it tight. Keep it running, keep it tight. Getting crazy, getting wild. Getting crazy, getting wild. Keep it running, keep it tight. Getting crazy, getting wild. Getting crazy, getting wild. Keep it running, keep it tight. Keep it running, keep it tight. crazy, getting wild. Keep it running, keep it tight. Keep it running, keep it tight. Let the mood and feel the fire. Feel the fire. Keep it running, keep it tight. Let the mood and feel the fire. Feel the fire. The fire. Let the mood and feel the fire. Keep it running, keep it tight. Passion and energy takes us higher. Keep it running, keep it tight. Let the mood and feel the fire. Passion and energy takes us higher. Getting crazy, getting wild. Passion and energy takes us higher. Getting crazy, getting wild. Passion and energy takes us higher. Getting crazy, getting wild. Keep it running, keep it tight.
Okay, lassaten, okay, lassaten, okay. Okay, lassaten, okay, lassaten, okay. Okay, lassaten, okay, lassaten. Okay, lassaten, okay, lassaten. Okay, lassaten, okay, lassaten. Okay, lassaten, okay, lassaten.
And all things Charlie teach. Charlie teach. And all things Charlie teach. Charlie teach. For all these things I'll also bring to pass. For all these things I'll also bring to pass. And all things Charlie teach. Charlie teach. And all things Charlie teach. Charlie teach. For all these things I'll also bring to pass. Unto him shall priests convey and offer gold, and MYRRH, and frankincense. For all these things I'll also bring to pass. And all things shall he teach. shall he teach, and all things shall he teach, shall he teach. For all these things he'll also bring to pass. Unto him shall priests convey and offer gold, and myrrh, and frankincense. For all these things he'll also bring to pass. And all things shall he teach. Shall he teach, and all things shall he teach, shall he teach. The dumb shall speak, the dumb shall speak, and all things shall he teach, the dumb shall speak. Demons shall he drive out, and of the dead there shall be an uprising. The dumb shall speak, and of the dead there shall be an uprising. Drunken, not discern, nor shall they err, oppressed with feeble cars. The dumb shall speak, and of the dead there shall be an uprising, and all things shall he teach. Shall he teach, and all things shall he teach, shall he teach, and all things shall he teach. Shall he teach, and all things shall he teach, shall he teach. For all these things he'll also bring to pass.
That was pretty much it. That was pretty much it. Pretty much it. That was pretty much it. Pretty much it. Pretty much it. That was pretty much it. Pretty much it. Pretty much it. I am a cow. I am a cow. I am a cow. That was.
Okay, so I am back, and I have, and like I said, I apologize for all of the inconvenience and stuff. I have everything organized now. We're ready to go, so I even have the settings straightened out to where I can start recording and do a recorded version of this episode, so everything got straightened out. And I apologize for the delay. I've got all my notes and stuff set up, so I'm good to go, and I'll do my countdown and we'll get started. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, now. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Storyteller. I'm Roger Hanson, and today I am wanting to go a little bit farther with my plot and discuss it. I've already went over the proofreading and stuff in the last time. I also was unprepared for last week's stream, so I went over some other things, which is good because those are issues that I think a lot of writers should be talking about when it comes to writing your story and being accountable for yourself and things of that nature, and getting into a routine and taking effort, to actually take time out of the day to think about your story and write it if you're wanting to write. So it was a good thing that I did that. I'm getting off to a late start, and I apologize. So with that being said, I wanted to also make some comments on my channel. I have noticed that people are getting interested in it, and I appreciate the support that I've gotten from everybody who's come on and subscribed to the Storyteller, especially with the people in my gaming community. I've gotten a lot of good feedback, and I just wanted to say thank you guys for stopping in, subscribing, and watching my videos. It's really, really appreciative. I even got some weird, well, not really weird comments, but with my narrations, I got one of them that has a little girl telling the story. That's the narrator, and they find it kind of creepy, and I find that, in my personal opinion of it, as good feedback for me, because that's kind of what I like. I like getting a little bit of a creepy vibe from the stories, but it's sci-fi with a kind of like the girl off of Resident Evil, you know what I mean? That's the kind of voice that's in it. So I'm okay with all that, but like I said, I appreciate you guys coming in and actually giving me support on that. That's much appreciated. I've had this channel for quite a long time, and I haven't gotten very many people to come in and actually, be a part of it, and coming in and doing that is a real big deal for me, because this is one of my personal channels. This is where I get to do the stuff that I've always liked doing, and writing's the big thing, the one thing that I really enjoy doing, and not just writing, but learning about writers too. I've put a lot of stuff on here that was written by other people, and it's really great to go out and learn about your favorite writers and stuff of that nature as well. And with that being said, I do want to point out a writer that I've been narrating here, doing a narration for here recently. The story that I have that's been going out is called The Wallhouse Curse. This is a book that is written by John G76 on Minds.com. His real name is John Geffold. Now, he has other books too. If you guys are interested in reading his book, I'd suggest that you check it out. If you want to read this book instead of listening to the narrator, you can pick it up on Goodreads.com. I believe it's for free. He's got a few other books as well, if you guys are interested, and he's a really good guy. So yes, I am giving him a plug. I've been promising to get this narration out all year, and me and Bob Dub had it set up to where we were going to do it earlier, and somewhere throughout the year the transition, or the communications got screwed up, and like she thought she had read like half of it already and sent me the audio, but she didn't. I didn't receive it. So what ended up happening is I eventually just went ahead and started doing a narrator on it to get it going. I'd also like to tell everybody that I made no alterations to the story whatsoever. I didn't go through, change the wording or anything of that nature. It's just the exact same way that the book says it. Now, in my recording, I might have the little spots where the Audacity froze or something, maybe. But I didn't hear any, because I go through and I try to get rid of the gaps to where it sounds as human as possible. But other than that, I just wanted to point that out. You know, that's his writing. That's not my writing or any alterations from the book whatsoever. So you're getting the book as it's written. And after I'm done with that one, which I'm coming up on, I finally got to the last part, which, by the way, I stepped away from the computer so that I didn't hear the ending to it. I want to hear the ending to the story, but on the final edit. So I stepped away from the computer for that, but I did get the audio straightened out. So the audio is set up and it's good to go. All I have to do now is, like I said, go through, edit out the gaps in between them, because the reader has a tendency of stopping or making it sound more of a drone-ish sound. And you can go in when you're doing your video or your audio editing, and you can tighten it up to where it actually sounds better, you know. So that's what I'm doing there. And after I'm done with that, I'll have all of them up and posted in there by sections. I believe I have them at 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. But when I'm done with that, the final one is going to be a live stream of all those parts put together so that it's in one story. And you guys can check that out whenever I get that taken care of. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. And I have to also be honest about it. I've been debating on if I wanted to bring it up or not, but like with the Odyssey, I haven't been sticking by the computer and listening to it all the way through. I've been getting up and letting it record and then coming back, and I'm doing each book at a different time. I would go back and make edits to it, to be honest with you, but the thing of it is I'm so far through it, I don't know if I want to go back. I started paying attention and I noticed that on parts of it, it brings up a smiley face on there when it shouldn't for that one. And I apologize for that. But that's on me basically. But later on I can go through and edit it and make it sound a lot better. With that being said, I mean, other than that small technicality, it's still a pretty good story. It's in poetic form too, so I think that's the most important part about it. It's really amazing how well these narrators are getting at reading these stories as well. I think that's pretty cool. So like I did want to bring that up. I kind of felt bad about it after, you know, because I should be doing a little bit more better on that one. Now I'm going to do these stories, the other ones, the short stories that I have, like I do on the other ones. Each of the ones that I get aren't all 12 videos, but the short stories altogether are going to come up to 12 videos for the year, and after that I'm going to stop doing it. It might go over a little bit, I'm not sure, but I do want to bring it to an end at the end of 12 of them. So that is one thing that I did want to bring up and mention to you. We are streaming on Odyssey, YouTube, X at the moment, the story, Rumble, and on Twitch. So if you guys want to check that out, you can. I was debating on opening the chat today, but then I decided, you know what, nobody's wanted to come in actually and do the chat with me, so I'm okay with just doing this, because I really don't want to have, I really don't see the purpose in opening a chat up about something that has to do with writing. To be fair, that's just kind of the way I've been feeling about it. It's just it doesn't seem right, you know, especially when I'm going over the topic of like writing a plot and doing an outline and all this stuff. So I guess that would possibly be everything that I do need to discuss. And like I said, I do have my my stuff out that I do have going on that I think needs to be discussed. Now, I have my plot written out, believe it or not, but there is more things that I do want to add on to it. So as I go through, I will be incorporating things into it, and when that's done, then I will go ahead and get it straightened up. Now, besides doing the story, I want to also point out that I have last year when I started the first book, okay, and this is a series of short stories that's going to be a part of a series called The Clash, so that you guys know, or not The Clash, but Clash is what it is, CLASH. And last year I did one concerning my character Zuthra, and I did that according to Save the Cat plot, where you do your plots. And the year before that I also did it with another story, but that was before I did any of the streams. This year I'm gonna kind of move away from Save the Cat. It's gonna be somewhat familiar, but it's not really the same thing, you know what I mean? It's not the same format when it comes to that. But I am going to get away from that, because there was a few things that was going on there that I really didn't agree with, and it was really, it complicated it for me, you know what I mean? Now, there's one thing that I haven't put in this one, which I probably might put into it, but I'm not sure. It's the Beeline story. But there's another one. It's a call to action, I think it is, and they have this spot in the story where they want somebody who's insignificant to say like a saying no, theme stated is what it is, and he's supposed to state the theme in the story, and then at the end you hear the theme again, or somebody else, or you think of it in your head, or something like that, and then all of a sudden everything makes sense. I'm going to leave that out, because it really does complicate a lot of the stuff that I'm doing here, because not only am I trying to come up with a plotted story, but I'm also wanting to create a series of short stories that have plots for each story, which really complicates it more as you go along. So, for me, I'm going to hold off on doing that, and not do that, because it's just way too much. But like I said, I will end up putting the story in eventually, because, or the Beeline story, that is going to definitely go in. So with that being said, I just wanted to let you guys know that well, I shouldn't really say definitely it's going to be put in there. So I don't know. It's something that maybe I will do, but there's no guarantees to it. So whenever I start out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with the prologue. Now, after I go on to the prologue, then I am going to go right into my opening image. I have my prologue set up, and it is basically going to be set up to where freaking it goes over the reviews of a lot of the things that happened just to Tiana, with her madness, her inner conflicts, where she has madness and power, basically, you know. I call it Tiana's descent, and where it goes into play is where her descent takes her into into her world of madness. And I do that because I want it to be kind of like a cautionary tale about the corrupting nature of power, and like the fine line between a ruler and a tyrant, so that I can actually kind of explore that and get it going. And this is going to be a short part of it. It's not going to be very, very extensive into it. Now, whenever I do that, I'm going to point out how she began as like a cunning leader, and then she slowly starts to transform into a tyrannical leader, and she's driven by bloodlust and power. Because if you guys have watched my older videos, you know about Tiana and her bloodlust. Maybe not as much as what I wanted to do it, because like when I was doing these stories, and I'm learning that even now, like I'm remembering the first story for now when I write this, but the plans on what I wanted to do with that first story and what it actually turned out to be are two different things. So with me, I had to learn how to just let the story tell itself, take on its own, take on its own, basically, just that, to kind of become itself. Because, like I said, I'm dealing with, what I didn't incorporate was I'm dealing with a short story, which I only want to make each short story maybe 10 to 12 pages long, no longer. And on top of that, it has to be plotted. And then I also want a plot, but I also want to try to keep a character, a character-based story incorporated into it. And I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, don't do that because there's nothing good about it," because it just leads nowhere and it runs out. But for me, I don't know, man. I kind of like the whole character-based story thing, and it just became interesting to me. I wanted to try and incorporate character-based stories with a plot and make it a short stories for each of them, and have them connect to one another as well. So it's a special project that I have. And like I said when I first started this tangent, I started out with an idea of what I wanted the story to be like, and I ended up having to let the story just tell itself, and I had to tone it down on a lot of things because I ran into issues when it came to actually telling the story. And Tiana was actually the one part of the story that was really hard because Zuthra ended up marrying 3 women, and he does it through seduction. And Tiana comes from a society that is ruled by women, and they don't really respect men. They look down on them and consider them like cannon fodder, or their only use is for cannon fodder in battle, or working as a slave in the mines, or sexual reproduction. But they don't have any regard for them whatsoever, no respect, and that's the way they are. If they're not of any use, they literally just kill them, and that's the way that's the type of life that she comes from. And Zuthra, in my first story, seduces her and makes her into his wife, and she becomes resentful for that, and that is what leads on to his eventual demise and the demise of Lycia, or Lycia, however you want to pronounce it. But after that, I was wanting to go into the plot for the Draconians, the Draco, which I am pretty excited to get into, but I stopped and I took a look at it. Now, last season I had Karma Love on here, and she was really fascinated with his character, even though it was really hard for me to kind of fit her in because of how different she is from the other women. And then plus, in my head, I was trying to portray Zuthra as something like supernatural and you know, this like almost godlike person of pure energy. And it didn't seem to me as I was writing the story that that's how he was coming through. So what I had to do was eventually make changes to his character, as well as make changes or cut back on some of the things with Tiana, so that it would all kind of merge together and make a good story. And it was a lot different than what I had expected it to be. So this is where I get to the end of the story. I did the rough draft. I let it sit and breathe for a while, and then I came back and I proofread it again this last time, which I did the episode before this one, and I made changes to it. And that's when it dawned on me. Well, even before that, I had the thought that instead of going right into the Draco, I should go from the first story into Tiana's descent and do a short story on her and how she ended up gaining power and she ended up descending into madness, and how everybody started betraying her. She went from being a ruler to a tyrant and everything. So in the beginning, she was already a cunning leader. She was real cunning about the way she did things. And then she became tyrannical when she became, you know, the basic overlord. And she was driven by bloodlust, which she was already that way beforehand. But she was driven by bloodlust and power. So that kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. Now with this, though, I'm wanting to make it to where her madness becomes a growing desire for brutality and torture, okay? And then instead of it being just males, which that's what she was doing before, she doesn't care if it's a male or a female. She just wants brutality and torture, and I want to express it through like bizarre experimentations that Draco are doing on humans, and through torture, because her society enjoyed torturing men. That was their form of recreation, you know. So in this one, it's going to be just torturing anybody. It doesn't even matter. She wants somebody tortured, and then I can start getting into the area and kind of going into the Draconian plot where they are doing experiments on humans, and incorporating human DNA with reptilian DNA and creating a hybrid. They're also going to be doing cyborg. They're going to be creating human cyborgs and stuff of that nature. So it's gonna be pretty interesting when I get to that. But before I get to that, I want to focus on Tiana and her descent into madness, and focus on the things that involve her before I do that, and then incorporate her. Because like I said before, I think that'll also add to the story, you know, and it'll also make it grounded and more grounded in a story, basically. So the madness starts unraveling in Tiana's mind, okay, and it leads her into a world where she's isolated, both physically and mentally, and it also becomes a situation where followers finally come to fear, and eventually they just flee away from her control. They don't want to have anything to do with her. They eventually just flee from her. Now, with her isolation, I wanted to make it to where Tiana's isolation grows, and the reason why I want to do that is because it reflects on her inner turmoil, and that'll eventually also lead to the inevitable rebellion that arises and and this represents, what happens when a leader becomes out of touch with their people. I think that's what that'll reflect on. So first it'll be her beginning to isolate, and then freaking she'll start getting worse and worse, and eventually it'll start showing, it'll start reflecting onto other people, where they'll start seeing it, and they'll eventually want to rebel with it. Either rebel or run away. They'll come to that situation where they'll have to make a decision. Do they want to rebel against her and the Draconians, or do they just want to flee? And that's in later on in the story. But I do think I have to bring that up as a part of it. So after that, Tiana also. I want her to be portrayed where she finds herself surrounded by like shadowy people, and she's like in dimly lit space, separated from people, as her madness grows, because while I'm doing the story, I want to have it to where she's being viewed as seeing those who follow her as nothing more than objects, and then also I want her to be that type of person who justifies her actions as like inconsequential. You know what I mean? No big deal. I just murdered a guy, tortured him to death. No big deal. It's not important. So that is kind of what I'm wanting to get into whenever it comes to this, and also I also want to focus on the bloodlust and the morality, the moral decay that follows her obsession with bloodshed. That highlights the consequences of losing touch with humanity. You know what I mean? So she's slowly losing touch with humanity and the people around her. So that is what is going to take place in the prologue. This isn't going to be very long either, so I'm going to have to be able to put that information into like 2 pages, I believe. So it makes it interesting. So after that, what's going to end up happening is I am going to go into my oops, I should probably not do that. After that, I am going to go into my opening scene, and after I figure out where the heck I am, I will be able to get that up and going. Yeah. So I am going to go into my opening scene. I did not have to take that down on Twitch. Okay, so this is where my opening scene starts out, and when I do my opening scene, it's actually the beginning of Act 1. So you have Act 1 and then the opening scene, and I'm going to make that just 1 page long, okay? And what an opening scene is when you start a story in a plot, you want to create an opening scene at the beginning of the story that everybody can visualize in their head, and it should just create a scene, just something that's happening at that moment right then and there, and that's just your opening scene. And what mine's going to be is the crumbling remnants of the Lycian Empire, and I'm going to make it to where I describe it as a place that's once vibrant and rich, and now it's overshadowed by the Draco oppression, because they're reigning over Lycia through Tiana. Okay, I'm gonna make it to where it mentions things like dark skies loom, and whispers of betrayal fill the air. You know what I mean? And what it basically is it's going to also talk about Tiana's eyes betray her flicker of madness, you know, as she sits upon her throne, and it's going to be an image of her sitting on her throne. I'm thinking maybe do something cool like a throne of bones, where you know, Lycia has just been destroyed, so and the palace, the throne room and all that has been transported to another dimension, so she has to freaking create her own, you know, palace and her own throne. So it's going to be like a makeshift throne, maybe, you know, where it's made of like bones and shit, and she's like real evil. She's got a whip, things of that nature, just a torturous, horrible woman, you know, just evil to the core. But that is what I wanna incorporate into that opening scene, and then I also want to make it to where the room is dimly lit and she's surrounded by those shadowy figures, you know. So, and like I said, the throne's going to be maybe bones, and you got shadowy people there, and it's a dimly lit room, and there's her sitting on her throne made of bones. That's going to be the opening scene. Now that's just one page. Then I go to the setup, and that is going to be 2 pages long. Now, Act 1 is what that is. So in Act 1 you have the opening image and then the setup. And in the setup, I'm going to start talking about after the fall of Lycia, how Tiana is installed as a puppet leader by the Draco, and they rule over the surviving humans, and these surviving humans see the Draco as gods, but they want to rule at a distance and use Tiana as their puppet leader. Okay. Now, through the obsession for power and the thrill of torture, Tiana's her internal conflicts start to emerge. You know what I mean? They start to surface. She starts to reveal her madness. And then that'll be through like barbaric experiments being conducted, you know, on those people that she once called her people. Now she's sending them off to be experimented on by the Draco, and then her torture and everything that she does like that, you know. Now that right there is where I do want to come up with this, and see, it's pretty tough because I have to budget my time to 2 pages, so there's a lot of good stuff that I could put on there, and I'm going to well, 1 page is pretty hard. The opening image is going to be cool, but it could be a lot more if it was more than 12 pages. You know, if it was longer than a short story. But that's where the trick comes in. I have to set it up to where I can actually pull it off and be able to do this. So now that through the obsession for power and the thrill of torture, Tiana's internal conflicts surface, like I said. Now, that is a small remnant of the things that frickin' well, no, what I should say is it's a small remnant of people, okay, that are there from what was there before. So, like, at the end of my last story, the people who weren't enthralled with the Draconians through the drug that Obtu created called Soma, which turns them into blind slaves. The ones that weren't hooked on that, they ended up fleeing in a mass exodus and running away from Lycia to distant parts of the cosmos. And the ones who stayed because they were greedy and they weren't addicted to the soma, or they stayed because they were addicted to the soma and they were blind slaves to the draconians, and they thought of them as gods. And there's a small remnant of what was once there. So they're there, and they're being used for torture, and they're also being used for experimentation. And slaves, is, of course, too, is something I should bring up. But that's something that I'm going to incorporate and let people understand. Like, these aren't a huge amounts of people. I also am debating on creating a part in the story where Tiana introduces barbaric rituals, and then she like demands absolute obedience from all of her subjects, and from that point maybe have it to where they portray her as a godlike being. You know what I mean? I'm kind of on the fence about that, but it's something that I do want to do, because I was mentioning Soma before and thinking of the Draconians as gods, so that might conflict, but I might just add it in as well, because like I said, she's kind of, she has her own agenda. Right now she's a puppet of the Draconians at this point, but she's a lot more cunning than what than being a puppet. You know what I mean? Now, the one thing that I am going to start bringing up at this point is unpredicted outbursts that Tiana makes, and her advisors notice, and they become fearful about. She just, because of her madness, she starts having these outbursts, and they become fearful, and they start to question their loyalties towards her. Then they start realizing things about her bloodthirsty desires, and then her isolating herself, both physically and mentally. And they start seeing that signs of her madness, and it's slowly taking a grip on her, and all of her people that are around her, that are closest to her, are starting to see this, and all of a sudden there's like whispering conversations by her followers, and they start hinting at their growing desire to leave, or uprise against her. But like I said, that is where this next part comes into play. But at that moment, they're wanting to get away from her madness. They're starting to realize it. Now, this will bring me to the catalyst, which is also referred to as the dark turn. Now, this is going to be 2 pages, and on this one, actually, let me set up my shot to where. Wait a minute. Did I already went through the setup, didn't I? Yeah, I already went through the setup, and I forgot to put it on there. I am sorry, guys. So that was the setup. Now I am going to go to the catalyst, and this is where her subjects are starting to notice her unpredictable outbursts, and things of that nature. I've already gotten through that, but now we get to the catalyst and the dark turn, and that's going to be 2 pages long. Now, this has to do with rumors among the people and how they begin to spread about Tiana and her violent tendencies. Slowly, all those people who were formerly loyal to her begin to plot rebellion against her. Okay? Now, even though that's happening, some followers feel that there are also signs that Tiana's madness is indicating divine favor from the Draco. Okay? Now, you're going to have that going on. You're going to have that, and then there's also those who witness the horrors that she's committed, and they're torn between confrontation and loyalty. Either stay loyal or having conflict, having a rebellion, rising up against her. Now, once the followers of the Draco once they were these people, they were like the followers of the Draco, and they're also subjects of Tiana, but they begin to grow factions within the people, so these factions start rising up, among the people who are supposed to be followers and stuff. But the thing is it's gone to the point now to where they've started debating on whether or not they should rebel against Tiana and the Draco, or if they should just flee, if they should just leave like everybody else did with the mass exodus beforehand, which that's what they're debating on, if they should actually try to fight against them, or if it would be better for them if they turn around and they just rise up against them. Now, I'm going to make it to where it points out that they'll be leaving everything that they know behind, and they'll be traveling into unknown regions, and then also they can either stay and fight to the bitter end, which I'm going to make it to where if they do fight to the bitter, if they do fight and they do rebel, that this small group of people who are left there is going to have to go against the Draco and also against Tiana's soldiers, which would be basically a slaughter. So they decide that they come into that debate to where they have to decide if they want to actually stay or if they want to fight, and that is what I never did do a spot on my thing for the debate, so it's perfectly fine. I've actually never well, it's kind of hard to really tell what is the freaking conflict and which is the debate, you know what I mean? Because, or the catalyst and the debate, because they kind of blend into one another. Okay, now I've gone through that. Now I'm going to go into break into two. Now, with break into two, when I was doing Save the Cat, I went according to what they suggested, and with that one, I tried to do that one at 20% of the story. And that one, when you do Act 2, the protagonist answers the call. They make the choice to begin their adventure, transformations, journey, new things. And then you have to show your protagonist deciding to plunge into Act 2. You know what I mean? So that is where that comes into. So that's what we're doing here at this moment. And with that one, let me see where I'm at. I've got to make sure. Yeah. I ended up, I'm trying to stay with the notes, and they are getting, okay. Yeah, the debate. Yeah, I already covered the debate. I really need to separate these areas. Now, the break into two is the turning point, Okay, and that's 2 pages long. Okay. Now, whenever I go over these things, okay, I understand that these change according to the character that you do have. If you want a character that is not learning the lesson in the beginning, then you want that character at the end of the story to learn his lesson. You know what I mean? And what I just read to you would be the average character who is learning a lesson according to a plot. So that's break into two for somebody who's doing that. Now, if you have a character who is not a hero, but maybe an anti-hero or just straight out evil, it doesn't apply to that. Okay, so you have to do the complete opposite, or sometimes just it's not the complete opposite, it's somewhere in between, you know what I mean? But it's that's the basic format for it. So like with Tiana, I would have to literally make it to where it's not the same as what I just read to you, because she's not a hero. She's not learning a lesson in overcoming her problems and things of that nature. She's ruthless, evil, and the only thing she wants is power and bloodlust, and she's going crazy. So that is something I do want to point out so that everybody understands that this is an anti-hero. The protagonist is an anti-hero. So that's one thing that I do want to point out. So with this, what happens is as Tiana's men go from house to house, gathering up subjects for a massive calling, which the people are against, of course. You know, they start to speak out in protest. These people who once called her, she once called her loyalist. You know, they begin to plot against her. So, and like I said, you know, whispers of rebellion become more louder now. Instead of them being whispering, they're getting louder, and people are starting to protest against these acts that are being done against them. I'm going to have to also bring some stuff up about the Soma, because like the Soma is supposed to turn them into mindless zombies, basically, where they follow only her. And I'm going to have to figure out a way of making it to where the Soma doesn't have the same effects as what it did when it first started. Like, it started wearing off on them, you know what I mean? It was no longer working, and go from there. I'll end up adding that in, maybe figuring that out, because that's the one thing that really has been bugging me. And like I said, this is a really, really complex character for me, because there are things that I wanted to do with her, but I couldn't do with her. So first I have to figure out what actually was written into the story, go back through and kind of cover it to make sure I keep it according to that story, and then go from there and let the story basically write itself, because she's going to be a really, really interesting character. And that's not just talking, I mean, she really is an interesting character. I couldn't resist the opportunity of doing this story. I incorporated parts of D&D. I believe it might be Forgotten Realms, I'm not sure, but there's characters in those role-playing games that I incorporated into this character, where they are just cold-blooded and heartless, man, just evil women, you know what I mean? And that's what I wanted to do. They would make the Amazons look like babies, you know what I mean, kind of thing. So that's what I was going for, basically. Yeah, let me double check and make sure everything is still working and running. You know, so we do have everything up and running, it looks like. Yeah. Alright, so we've got that going on now. Everything's working out, it looks like. So I am just wanting to, keep up and make sure that I have all my streams going. We had a really rough beginning here, so just be patient with me. And nobody has made any comments, which is good. That means I don't have to talk to nobody or make any responses on live stream. So I'm good with that. Now, I forgot to put break into 2 on here, didn't I? See, and that is the thing. I really do need to put them up before I start discussing it, so that at least when people come in, they know where I'm at and where I'm doing it. But I'm having this conversation, and people are probably thinking I'm talking about the catalyst, when in reality I was talking about break into 2. And now I am I am on break into 2, and like I said, it was starting. I was talking about Tiana's men, her soldiers, going from house to house and gathering people up so that they could do a massive calling. And usually what they do is they just give them to the Draco, and the Dracos use them for I had them use them for a food source. I don't know if I left it in the story before. And they also use them for experimentation, where they want to create a hybrid human reptilian. And whenever this happens, what usually takes place is they create a lot of these deformed, mixed beings that are just hideous. Some of them are in pain and stuff of that nature. And then, like I said too, I'm wanting to do it to where they use them to create human cyborgs that freaking do their bidding, and things of that nature. So hopefully I can get that all taken care of and put in there, because this story is going to launch off to where eventually it's not going to talk about Lycia. It's not going to talk about Zuthra or Tiana. This is going to be one of those stories that have timelines where it goes from this story to another time later on. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be on the same timeline each story, and that's where I'm wanting to go with it. And they're all going to connect in some way. So that's how I'm wanting it to be. So soon. So soon after, these people who are talking about wanting to rise up against Tiana, soon they start seeing that the forces against them are overwhelming, and the talks of rebellion turn to mass exodus like before with Zuthra and the people who left before them. So they start talking about a mass exodus, and these people who were once followers of Tiana, and the Draconians, and thought that the Draconians were gods, they now start fleeing for their lives. Okay, they start seeing the truth in Tiana's lies. They start seeing that she was lying to them and making false promises and everything, and that the Dracos weren't gods. So these people also flee like the Exodus before, but at a smaller scale, and they flee off to distant areas of the cosmos too. So you have humans who first fled during the invasion of Lycia, and they went off to isolated parts of the cosmos, and now you have a second group that followed Tiana and believed that the Dracos were their overlords and their kings and their gods, and they found that that was all a lie, and they fled off to different areas of the galaxies too. So now you got 2 different groups that are doing that, and that's the way I wanted to do that. That has to do with some of the research that I've done in ufology, and I wanted to incorporate that into this story, because there's some pretty cool stuff in ufology that I wanted to add into my story. So that is what I wanted to do there. Now, if it works out, I don't know. I'm going to work on this and try to get it going, because there's a lot of things that I do want to incorporate into these stories. I want to pull from the old lore that comes out of like the Sumerians, the Babylonian time periods, and the Assyrians too. And I want to incorporate that into a lot of things that pertain to role-playing games, things that I thought was cool there as well. Particularly Forgotten Realms and D&D, there was cool characters that I want to incorporate in there. And besides that, ufology, I also want to incorporate that and get that going as well. So you've got 3 different things that are influencing me into making this story, or these stories, this series. Now, after this, I want it to where after they see the truth in all of the lies that Tiana and the Draconians had told them, they flee to these distant areas of the cosmos, and as they flee, they're telling the horrors they witnessed when they were under the rule of Tiana. So that's how the other people who have already fled are hearing the stories of what's taking place after they left. You know what I mean? So I want to bring that up and everything and make that a part. Now, once that is done, I also want to this is where I want to get into the finale. I want to start discussing the end of Tiana's rule. Now, this is going to be another 2 pages, or roughly. This could change, so there's no guarantee about that. Now, I need to go and I need to put the finale up and make sure I do that. And I did it at the beginning, so wait a minute. Yeah, okay, so the finale is up. I believe it is. Let me go check. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so this is going to be the last part. This is where it all starts getting good. And remember, none of this is written in stone, so just be aware of that. Actually, the closing image too, but the finale is and the closing image is like the opening image, so it's just the opposite or whatever. That really wasn't a good explanation. But like at the beginning, how I had the opening image, it's going to be the closing image, which is going to be just like the opening image but different. There you go. That's the best I can do. I'm sorry, guys. So right now, though, I am on the finale, and that's going to be the end of Tiana's rule, and that's going to be 2 pages. Now, this is going to concern her holding allegiance with the Draco, okay? And how she's continues in her descent into madness, and she's starting to lose power. She's still practicing her brutal experiments, and she's torturing people, and she's allowing the Draco to use them as food sources and stuff of that nature. This is kind of funny because, like, right now I'm portraying the Draco as like the bad guys, the reptilians, and that's the way it is in ufology. And I also have a story that I've been doing on Earth, on my channel called Earth, where it's called hummingbirds and bumblebees. And in this last one that I just put out, it was about this these reptilian entities, and they're not negative at all whatsoever. They're actually positive. And a friend of mine that's a gamer has watched it, and he brought that up about the reptilians that are in conspiracies and in ufology, which he probably doesn't even know that. He thinks conspiracies, But he brought that up, so I had to point it out that no, the ones that are in conspiracies are the ones that are the bad, evil reptilians, and the one that you're reading now, they're actually positive, and I got a kick out of that. So, but yeah, I do bring that part of ufology in when it comes to this story with the Draconians. They are basically what you find in ufology and things of that nature. I wanted to incorporate it into this story and make it, because it is a fictional story, so I can pretty much do whatever I want to do with it, and this is how I wanted to incorporate them into it. Now I might change the dynamics behind it, because I've been coming up with some pretty good information that I do want to put into the backstories. And I do put a backstory in. I like to write out a plot, and after I'm done, or not a plot, but an outline is what I should say. But I do an outline, so, and eventually what I do want to do after I'm done here with the plot, going over it with you guys, I'm going to go over my outline and how I'm going to outline my story for each part that I'm discussing here. But now what happens is she ends up continuing with her descent into madness, practicing her brutal experiments, the torturing of people that are still there, and giving humans to the Draconians for food sources and experimentation and all that. And in her mind, she still considers herself a martyr. She thinks of herself as like this legendary figure in the annals of time. She's just all that in a bag of chips, you know what I mean? So that's how I want to portray her as she's going through this phase right here. So that is something that I do want to think about, and I want to bring it into. Now, as time goes on, though, Tiana eventually starts being abandoned, and she becomes more isolated and alone, and she's stuck in her own madness. So she has to confront her own demons, and I want to write about this and kind of bring that out. Now, at this point, at this point, the only people that she had that are still left behind that follow her, or was considered following her, flees in the night, to get away from her. That's how bad she's become, So they're sneaking off and abandoning her because of that. And eventually, what it is they're just leaving the ruins of a destroyed and now forgotten kingdom, and they're off to distant parts of the cosmos to try to find their freedom. So that's the way I want that to be played out. So that will be the finale. So now I probably should have done a closing image for my cool text that I have up on my my stream right here. The thing that I wanted to so badly do, because I don't get really too many chances to do this with my other streams, but I did not do that. And the reason why I did not do that is because I am a very forgetful person who does not make habits of things that he really should do. but that's okay because I still have notes to go on that I can go off of instead of having the text sitting on my video saying that. So with that being said, let me go ahead and get into the closing image. Now that is going to be one page. Now for anybody who knows, the closing image is actually supposed to be the same amount of time as the opening image, which is one page. Also, there's things too that I need to work on. Like I said, I wanted to do the B story, and that happens during the premise of the promise. Now, the premise of the promise is the catalyst, I believe. I believe that's what it is. Now, I do want to put a B story in there, but I'm kind of conflicted because it's only 11 or 12 stories long, so that might have to go, you know. And I do want to bring that up. So now, that being said, I think I can continue on now with my closing image. And see, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to walk away from Save the Cat for, you know, this is because it gets too complicated for me when it comes to doing a short story. So I have to really pay attention to that and make sure that I don't screw that up. So now on my closing image, I want to set it up to where it shows, you know, as it I want it to, well, basically I can read it out a little bit. It says, as the stones of the once strong Lycian Empire fall into decay, the sun begins to appear once more. Still oppressed by the Draco rule, these lands are isolated territories now forgotten by man. The Mad Queen no longer alive, and the whispers of betrayal long gone. The natural order of things return to the land for another generation to claim as their own. But that is another story. And that's going to be the closing image in some way. I'm going to have to make that one page. So that's got to be cool. I got a little artsy-fartsy there. And I need to really work on that and maybe make it into something else. So, well, the good thing is I was able to pull up an hour and 8 minutes on a recorded version of this. I have an hour and 26 minutes in live stream, but some of that's mess ups, and I apologize for that, for having to start late. I really don't have to apologize because nobody's really watching my stream, so it's like, seriously, dude, what do you think it's cool to be sitting there apologizing? Nobody's watching your shit, so just shut up and get done with this, because this shit's getting really old, you know. And don't worry, guys, that's just how writers do. They talk to themselves. It gives us inspiration. It makes us cool in a boring, cool way. You know what I mean? We do all that stuff. Like, we sit around thinking about what we're going to write, and then we think about what we did write, and then we think about what we're going to write, and then we think about what we did write. And, you know, it's really horrible. And nobody really likes to, like, sit down and actually write. They love writing, but they don't like it. You know what I mean? So you're, like, fighting and arguing with yourself on, dude, I need to go sit down and put a little bit more in my story time. You know? So that's basically how it all works out. And you get obsessed with it. You start enjoying it. You start finding out, you know, new things that you can write about, and it grows. It's something that, it's an acquired taste. It's like spinach. When you're growing up, you don't like spinach, but once you hit like maybe 25, 26, you actually can tolerate it. It doesn't taste all that bad. So Think about writing as spinach. Spinach for the small guy. Well, I am going to go ahead and bring this to an end because I know that I've literally just humiliated the shit out of myself. And I really hope you guys did get something out of this. I know I didn't put the audio visualizer on the other channels, but it is on Twitch. So you guys at Twitch, don't say I didn't do anything good for you, because you have got the cool stuff, man. You're the ones. You're the guys. This is your day. Roger broke off a little something for you. Something that YouTube and Odyssey and X and Rumble didn't get. I gave it to you guys. So here's to you. And with that, I am going to go